Hi, everybody. I'm Jess. Some of you may know me from the Addiction Help podcast, and some of you might know me just from the regular world. Today, I wanted to introduce my very own podcast that I'm very excited about called Lights of Recovery. When we're depressed and we're struggling, there are things in the world that are like lantern lights, that maybe they're not as big and bright as the sun, and maybe they're not the light at the end of the tunnel, but they are these little pinpricks of, imagine like a very dark, empty street, and you're walking and you're all alone, but way in the distance, you see this one street lamp, this one lantern burning ahead. And so you make your way to it and you stay there for a little while because it's just enough to get you through. And that's what this show really represents for me. I really hope this show itself can be its own sort of a lantern light for some, and also a place where we can talk about other people and their lantern lights. There's plenty of shows out there where we really dive into, how bad things got during the addiction or during the dark parts for people. And I'm not like downing that at all. I just think for me, I want to focus on not just that, but the recovery aspect. I want to really talk about the after, like what happens after? How do you get from one lantern light to the next lantern light? That stuff. So I hope you guys are excited, and I'm really stoked to have you along for the ride. Hi, everybody. This is Jessica Miller. I am the editorial director for the Addiction Help podcast, which is a bunch of fancy words to say I get to edit things to help people, which is really awesome, and I enjoy it. And this is my very own show, and I'm so excited about it, called Lights of Recovery. And with me today is Ashley Mullins Sayre. And just a quick little intro for you guys. So we met on Facebook. Literally, it was like a week ago, not even.
About a week.
In the most fantastic group called This Cat is Chonky. I had to go look it up because I'm in a bunch of different ones. There's like This Cat is Void, This Cat is Naughty. You posted a story and so many people were commenting and asking questions. I was super interested.
I was shocked.
And like, I thought, okay, if this has anything to do with addiction and recovery, I would love to talk to her on the podcast. Like, what an awesome thing. So if you want to kick it off, like, let's just dive in.
Right.
I want to know like the full story.
Full thing.
So wherever you want to start. Yep, let's go. And I'll just ask questions as we go.
Okay. All right, cool. Wow. It's been a long
I know, no pressure, but what's your entire story?
so yeah, it's been a long ride.
Start from birth. Was it raining?
From birth. Well, I've been using...
That's a joke. Don't start from birth. That's too much pressure.
I don't go on that. But, I started using when I was probably, I think 13, it's the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just weed. It was just like I was picked on in school because I've always been like a weird, eccentric kind of person, green hair, combat boots. I
love it.
I just fell into a crowd, with a couple of boys, no names, but they were doing bad stuff, and I kind of jumped in with it. I was really the only people that accepted me for the weird person I was. Like it was just weed at first, and it slowly progressed to other things.
Interesting.
So it's not really like your drug of choice is really what drug chose you in the end, And I wish it had been weed. I wish what would have been.
If I can ask, what was it for you?
Well, in the beginning, I was addicted to opiates, and it got to where like I couldn't find any opiates. I would use meth to like counteract the withdrawals, and then the meth just locked onto me.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, just traded one monster for another, so to speak.
And so like how long did that go on for, where you were like basically just battling that demon?
It's gonna sound real pathetic, but over a decade. But I'm 35 now. I've been clean 8 years, so
Hell yeah. That's
About
amazing.
I would say 15 to 28, maybe something like
Wow.
that, give or take a few years. And I do with math. I got to write it down.
No, you're good. Same. I can't do math in my head or
Yeah.
on the spot. And especially if it's on the spot, I'm like, I don't know. 2 + 2 is 22, I guess.
Right.
Whatever.
I got to write it down.
Like, I have no idea now. Suddenly, my mind doesn't know how to do numbers. So, but like a long time. And so was it something that for a while, because like I feel like it's different for everybody. For a while, it was like, okay, this works. It's whatever. I kind of don't care. And then it kind of turned on you, or was it a constant struggle?
Oh,
Of like,
absolutely. I mean, it was, I feel like this one thing, all addicts do have in common when it comes to their addiction is like in the beginning, it was fun.
mm-hmm.
In the beginning, it was great. You weren't really reaping any of the consequences from the seeds you were sowing just yet. And, but there's like a fine line that you cross to where, it gets to where it's more of a chore.
So how did it end then? Because I mean, you're here, you've been clean and sober for 8 years, so obviously it does have a good ending. But what was the
The
point for you?
rock bottom.
What? Yes, what was yours?
Well,
Whatever you're willing to share and comfortable sharing.
Oh yeah, I'll share anything. My story is, I feel like God has really led me to share it in hopes that it would give somebody else a little bit of hope. So it's like such a blessing to me. But it got pretty bad off. It got to the point where, I didn't work no 9-to-5 job. Like I'm an all or nothing person. There's no like function user in me. It's just all or nothing.
And it was just,
and it got to the point that I was just stealing anything and everything from anybody. Like I had no loyalty to anything but the dope. And it killed me that I was that way.
but you're just so trapped by it. Like
there's so much duality in that, because there's still like that good part of me that's in me, the real me, that this is just kind of like hijacked and taken over. But I ended up stealing a bunch of stuff, and it's, my mom was out of town. I broke in her house and just holed up and based my operations there, and just went on a robbing spree in the neighborhood. I've been to prison twice. The first time I went was it wasn't for very long, maybe like a year and a half. I got out, did good for a couple months, ran into somebody I used to get high with, and bam, there it goes again.
Yeah.
And
that's what you hear, man. Like,
I was actually on parole when I got arrested again. So I knew I was going to be on for a minute, but honestly, there was like a sense of relief, like so much relief. I was miserable. Actually, a friend of mine was a confidential informant.
I like the air quotes there.
Friend, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, I'm glad he did what he did, because it spared my life. Even though it was just, you just don't turn your friends into the cops, but I'm glad he did.
That's the duality of that, right? Like, yeah, wow.
Yes, do I thank him or hate him? I think I'll thank him.
Right, because you're really, that's a tough call. Because what do you do, And it's one thing I feel like to kind of like tell on somebody to get them help, but it almost sounds like maybe in this instance it wasn't necessarily with that mindset.
No, it was,
but it did still end well for you.
It still ended well. So that's what counts. We'll just focus on the result, I guess. But so I got picked up. So I've got a story for kratom too. I was in prison for 7 years this time, and towards the very end of my sentence, like the last year and a half, they sent me to it's called a transitional center. It's like a halfway house where you basically still live on the prison grounds in a cell, but you go wear street clothes and go to work every day. So I was doing that, and I was just chick at work was like, "Hey, this will give you energy. Try this." And I tried it one time, and guess what happened? There it goes. all or nothing, all or nothing. So I was all in. You know, the first time I went to prison, my mom sent me money, you know, took care of me. She told me, she said, Ashley, if you ever go back, you better get it how you live. I'm not doing it again. And she meant that shit. She meant it.
What does that mean? Get it how you live?
Well, get it how you live. Basically, you know, figure out how to support yourself. You know, you better figure it out in there. You know, you want to live like that. So you figure out how to survive like that.
I gotcha.
So I started tattooing. You know, at first it was trial and error. I messed a lot of people up along the way, but hey, they knew the risk.
Hey, it was consensual, right? They were into it. So,
and you know, in prison, that's a pretty good hustle, is tattooing. Like,
is it really?
Yes. I mean, you never, I tattooed probably every single day for at least like 4 years. And I got pretty decent. Like, I'm not no ink master or nothing. Like, I'm not no Kat Von D, but I'm decent, I'd like to think.
I would love for everyone to hear the cat story, because that's how I met you. That's what led me to you. And I feel like, you know, call it coincidence or God or whatever. It kind of is a little perfect. So let's get into the cat story.
Okay. When I was, I'm always,
because we're talking about second chances, right? And like,
she definitely got one, dude. Like, I've always been a cat lady my whole life. I have like some kind of spiritual bond with cats. Like, it's that deep, like cat lady level.
I love that.
300. So when I was at the transitional house, you know, I was going out to work every day, but coming back in behind the prison gates at night, this kitten showed up in the parking lot. Little bitty baby. And she would hang out over by the dining hall and like dig in the trash and food. And this is like North Georgia in the wintertime. Like, it gets cold up there.
Yeah.
And it snows. And, you know, my heart melted when I saw her. I was like, that poor baby, she was alone, you know. She didn't have no mama, no litter mates. You know, I'd go over and try and talk to her. You know, it's over time, over the course of like some weeks, I would get closer and closer to her. And finally, you know, she let me run my hand down her back. And, you know, after that, it was over with. You know,
so you really had to earn that.
I had to earn that trust. Though. Yes.
Wow.
You know, and I got this idea. Actually, I had seen it on like Facebook or something about making shelters for, you know, the feral cats in the wintertime. Yes. It's like you take a big Tupperware tote, you cut a hole in it, and, you know, a little bit above ground so water doesn't get in, and you like put hay and stuff in it. That way,
hay. Yes, because blankets can get the frost, and then you can keep them cold, and hay stays dry.
Yep. And
so FYI for listeners outside of Florida,
cat ladies out there, but, that officer I won't say no names, but she want to protect their identity too. Tupperware tote. She brought all the stuff to work. She's the one that actually made it. You know, my shift I worked at a place that made like liquor mats and bar rails. You know, at the bar, those long skinny things with like the different brands of beer.
Yeah.
Really random job, but yeah, that's what I was doing. That
is interesting.
And we wouldn't get off till like 3 a.m, but that kitty knew what time I got home, because like the van would pull up and I would look out the window and I would see her little head peek out.
Stop. Oh my God.
That was my baby.
So she knew that was this is my person.
It was my baby. And
so this was towards the end of your sentence, right?
This was towards the end. Okay. She ended up getting really, really sick, like a bad respiratory. Here she is. Here's Fat Mama.
She said, I know you're talking about me, you guys.
But she ended up getting really sick, get like a upper respiratory infection, like bad. Like her nose was completely clogged up. Her eyes were getting all boogery.
And I mean, that can be dangerous, especially when they're real young. Like, it's not.
Yeah, she got really, really sick. And I was like, man, I got to get her out of here. Like, she was dying. And,
and at that point, like, that was your baby.
Yes, that was my baby. And I was not going to let her die there. And I wasn't leaving her there. And I ended up, you know, working a deal, getting her transported to the state line for X amount of dollars. And my mom drove, like, how far did you drive? 4 hours to go get this cat.
Wow.
And met her at the state line, got her into the vet the next day, got her taken care of, got her spayed. And by the time I come home, this cat's like this big around. And
so So Kitty stayed with your mom
Yes.
until you got out. And so how long was it from her getting that vet care until you finally got to see her again?
About 7 or 8 months.
Okay, gosh, what a wait.
Yes. And, by that time, she's attached to mom. She's so grateful. Like every morning, I come down here at like 4 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work, and she meets me at the door, just demanding her attention, loving on me. Like she's a very happy, grateful kitty.
Do you feel like, I feel like I already know the answer to this probably, but let me change my question. How do you feel like she's influenced your sobriety and your recovery process?
Oh my gosh, in a lot of ways. Like, for one, just giving me something to care for. And so like, I have so much love in my heart now. I don't know. It's just because I'm just so grateful to be alive and, on the other side of that storm I was in, but it's just so much love to give. And then, here she comes, she pops up. And plus, like, I got to stay clean because I got to take care of her. That's another random thing, but it's really my life goal to open like a cat, like no kill sanctuary shelter. And like I would be born there. I just feel led to help. I just want to help. I want to make the world like a better place.
I feel that.
Keep it by giving it away. That's what they say about recovery. And
keep it by giving it away. What does that mean?
Keep it by giving it away. That means like, you give away in a sense, like you tell your story and, maybe try and help somebody that might be going through the same thing that just doesn't see any hope left. You know what I mean? You give away your story, you give away your time to be there for somebody. Or even if it's like, I don't know anybody down here. I've been here like a year and a half and, I don't really have any friends because, I spend a lot of time with my family and my cats. And honestly, I'm cool with that. But if there were to ever, be somebody that's like, hey, I'm freaking out. I feel like I'm going to get high, and I would definitely go over, go pick them up, go get some sushi or something. I haven't told you this yet because I still consider myself 8 years clean. I did have one relapse and this is what happened. It was the kratom or whatever. I'm not discounting it as using. I definitely used, okay? It was a relapse, but it was, anyways, was been talking to this guy. I've been mostly alone for 7 years. I want male companionship, okay?
Sure.
Hey, this guy was talking, he was on heroin. I've never done heroin a day in my life.
Oof,
not my thing, don't want nothing to do with it. And anyways, he was using pretty regular and and I was doing the kratom and I was like, and he had a vape and I was like, let me get your vape. And he's like, oh, it's got whatever in it. And I was like, then here goes that reasoning. I've never done it. It's not my drug of choice. It'll be fine. Guess what happened that night?
Oh no.
I'm about to cry. I overdosed that night.
No.
I overdosed and was in the hospital for like 4 days. I ended up getting pneumonia from aspirating. Thank God he called the ambulance and it just let me lay there and die.
No kidding. Good for him.
It scared me so bad. It was all I can remember was I've never been so cold in my life.
Really?
Like, I was so cold it hurt. And they had to my oxygen level wouldn't come up. So they had to put this thing on my face that blew like just air in your mouth, 100 miles an hour. Like it was horrible.
That's so terrifying. Obviously.
Well, you know what? Like I feel like that relapse was worth having because ever since then, like, I think that's what really set it in stone for me. And like, and I asked God, I was like, please take this desire just to be high out of me. And that was a really, really close call, like really close.
No kidding. I'm actually getting a little emotional too.
Yeah. Never done it before in my life. That it's fentanyl. It's killing people, man. And it almost got me.
Yes, it is.
And I just like did it.
So it was Fent was in it then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I was going to try not to cry. But anytime I talk about it, I cry.
Crying is real though, man.
Like that was, I feel like he spared me so many times. Like, if you all knew, I have diabetes really bad. When I was out in the streets using meth, I would take care of myself. I'd end up in the hospital all the time. He's continuously spared me, and just like, I was so grateful. Like, when I woke up in the hospital and then like I was still alive, when it happened and they came and Narcan me or whatever, and I woke back up, I was out of it. Like, but I still remember being cold and being afraid and wanting my mama because I thought I was about to die. So even if it's just, it's not my direct choice, I can do it just one time. It's no big deal. Just hanging out with this dude. Yeah, it almost cost me my life.
So that was like, so you had your rock bottom, and then you had your like extra, like that face slap, you
right,
you see in the movies,
well,
that
after,
like
a lot
boom,
of
boom.
times, like, I think this is what happened with me. Like, I got cocky in my sobriety, I think, because I had been clean so long, and don't think it's just because I was in prison. There's probably more dope in prison and easier to get than out here. Like, it's
really?
bad in there, bad. And I was like, I don't ever think you have it, because at the end of the day, you really got to be careful. And I just was overly confident that it wouldn't hurt me and it was no big deal. Like, I just discounted it, and it really was. So,
wow. I have seen like research that suggests like one of the key and like not talked about as much reasons for relapse is that overconfidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's humbled me so much. My shirt.
Stay humble. I know. I love that you sent me that.
It's humbled me so much in so many different ways. And like, thank God for my family. I have great family support. Like, my mama is my rock. You hear me? She is my rider. She has never given up on me. Like, and even,
shout out Ashley's mom.
Yes, I just see the love of God in her. The way she loves me unconditionally is like, I don't know. I feel like
beautiful.
She's amazing.
That is beautiful. That's what
I would not be here right now if it weren't for her. Period.
Your cat is obviously a light for you. What are some of your other?
She is a lighthouse,
lantern lights.
Man. She is a lighthouse,
right?
Lights for me. Definitely my family. Like, I have a daughter that will be 16 at the end of the month.
What?
And, and her entire life, I've been in active addiction and incarcerated, in and out. So I've never, it hurts me to say it, but I've never been the mother that I should have been to her. And, my mom was raised here. My mom and my stepdad, they've done amazing. She's such a good kid. Such a good kid. She makes good grades. She doesn't really, she's like socially awkward. Like, she doesn't hang out with people. She's a good kid.
She sounds like me, honestly.
And plays her video games or whatever. But
yes, do you know what video games she's into?
Genshin.
Okay, I don't.
And Star Rail. She plays Star Rail too.
Okay, all right.
But she loves anime. Actually, me and her just.
My friends are very into anime, and I'm the weird one because I'm the one that doesn't watch
me
anime,
neither. That was like right past
Same,
my
like, I'm
era.
sorry.
Yeah.
I like other nerd stuff like D&D and like Zelda and
that D&D movie was good.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
But
that was a lantern light. Like, that totally counts. What a fun romp of a movie.
Yes, it was.
Honestly, like, anybody listening, you should go check that movie out, even if you know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. It's just a good time. Yeah, man, it's just a great story.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to lantern. So what are some other lantern lights for you?
Okay, my kitty, spending time with my daughter. We're building our relationship. When I first got home, we had to work through some stuff, some resentment, in which I absolutely understand, but we're coming on the better side of working through it.
I love that. Very
Ratatouille.
second chances oriented. Ratatouille?
Tattooing.
Oh, tattooing. I thought you said ratatouille. I was like, yes, I love ratatouille. No, tattooing. Okay, so tell me about tattooing.
Tattooing. Yes, I love tattooing. I actually started, I've always kind of like dabbled with it. Even I got my first tattoo when I was 13 and got my But I've always been obsessed with it. Even when I was a little kid, you get the 100 pack of tattoos. I put the whole back on
Yes.
me.
Oh my
But
gosh, I loved the fake tattoos when I was a kid too.
you can tell mine is obviously prison scribble, but
See, like I can't tell. I
well,
think it
I
looks
got
really
like
rad.
this. My right arm is more of like the
Hmm.
darker side. I wish I could show you just all of them because not all of my tattoos have meaning. Some are just random stuff I like.
Same.
Not every tattoo has to have meaning. Just if you like it, get it.
Yes.
But a lot of mine really do. And my right arm is like there's a lot about my addiction, prison, just the badder things in life. And my left arm, I was like, it has color in it, and this is just black and gray. And this has like family's names. It has my daughter's signature. And she had to send on a letter and put, "I love you, mommy," and her name. And I traced it and then tattooed it like right here for a reason. You get what I'm
That's so
saying?
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right there.
That's
Just a
beautiful.
reminder. And I'm good at doing other people's handwriting. My real dad, he he got cancer. He passed away while I was in prison. And
I'm
the
sorry.
last letter he sent me is so embarrassing. But when I was little, he always called me Pooh Butt for
That's
unknown
cute.
reasons.
Yeah, but that's funny.
But the last letter he sent me, he's like, he's in West Virginia. That's where I'm from originally.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Well, kid, if I don't make it down there before the end of the year, I'm probably not going to make it at all. But I just want you to know that I love you, pretty but don't give up." And that last sentence in that letter,
Wow.
I traced his handwriting and tattooed it on my legs. So like when I put my ankle up on my knee, cross my legs,
Hmm.
it's going like right down my leg.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's that's something that I also really love about tattoos is you can take these things with such absolutely potent, deep meaning to you, and
you
then
carry them on you
you
forever.
carry them with you forever. And
Mhm.
sometimes you get to talk about them with other people, and that's nice. But ultimately, it's like, no, this is for me. It's like putting art on your wall that you get to look at every day, but it's like putting it on your person, and you
Right,
literally physically carry it with you.
always with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. This has honestly been such a privilege to talk to you. Honestly,
Same, same.
I am so grateful that you posted "In This Cat Is Chunky." Um of all places, right? Like what a random happenstance. So before we end, I just kind of wanted to ask what would you what do you think people most misunderstand about addicts, whether recovering or otherwise?
I think people misunderstand probably the most that people are always doing this just because they want to in every situation. And that's a real big misunderstanding. Um,
Yeah.
yes, in the beginning, you do make that choice and you are held responsible for the choice you make to use. But, once it crosses that fine little line I was talking about, like it's like you have to, what I mean, just to not be sick, to function. And there's so many people
Yeah.
out there that like are trapped and they feel trapped and they don't know how to get out. And a lot of times, like in my case, the only way out for me was going to jail and
Yeah.
staying there for years, for a long time.
How did you Now you said there's a lot of dope in jail, but how did you or why did you were able to stay sober even given that it was still available in your environment?
Because I was ready. I was finally
Yeah.
ready. I was ready, and I knew it like the instant I got locked up. This was before I even made it back to prison, and like I was ready, and I
I
knew
love
I
it.
was, and it just
Did it feel kind of like this stubborn anger? Because that's how it felt for me a little bit. And I'm just curious maybe how it feels for other people when you're like, when you're just done. Because I had an issue with drinking a couple years ago, and it was very similar. You get into a cycle of like, you start and it's fun, and then you get in this cycle of like, you hate yourself. And so
yeah,
part of why you do it is because you hate yourself and you are trying to bury that feeling of hating yourself. And it's just
brutal
like this
cycle,
whole,
man.
yeah, it's awful. And then when I finally quit kratom, when I quit drinking, you know, both times it was like this like stubborn anger, you know. I mean, I don't know if you're into like zodiac and all that. I enjoy it. At least I find it entertaining. So it's a very Aries quality, you could say, where I was just like, no, I'm done. So
I ain't doing it no more.
absolutely. So like, was it similar for you? Did you have a different sort of feeling or?
Yeah, I
or
did.
whatnot?
I did hold like just resentment towards it.
Mm,
Period, because like just for everything taken from me, not just like material wise, but I mean like every single relationship. And it even got to the point where my mom was pushing off from me. She's never done that. I mean, she
wow.
wasn't giving up, but she was putting a little distance. And
She was setting some
right,
new
right.
boundaries then.
And you know, that's when things really hit me, and I'm like, you know, I'll be damned. I'm not going out like this. Like, I'm not. You know, like I was meant for greater things. You know, this is not how I'm going to go out. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life coming in and out of prison, homeless, out there stealing from people, sick, miserable, hating myself, not having my family. Like, you know, it got me sober to where I had that choice again. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
Yep.
yeah, and like I spent my time doing proactive stuff all through prison, like taking trades, being in programs. Um, you know, I realized there's three ways everybody can do their time, like either one of three ways. You can go in there mad and bitter, not take responsibility, blaming other people for why you're there. Number two is you can go in there doing the same thing you were doing out on the street. In other words, you know, getting high, just, or number three, you can go in there and decide to make yourself better. Take any opportunity to become a better person, to learn more about why you are the way you are and how you can work on it. You know, it's just take any opportunity to learn something, a new skill or a new trade. Like I got a plumbing degree in graphic arts. I doubt I'll ever plumb anything, but it was cool to learn something.
But still, you actually got to learn these skills.
And these
I
are
mean, that's
free. Like
amazing.
these are free things that they offer, and you get like real college credits for it. You know,
That's amazing.
and it makes time pass too.
Yeah, right. Because what else are you going to do? You know,
Yeah,
that's
but it's been a long
amazing.
journey. It's been a long road, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. You know, for everything really. But I'm
Well,
sad. I'm happier now
congratulations.
than I've ever been in mine since I can remember. Like when I was a child, I have like childlike happiness now.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
That's, yes. Well, congratulations. Honestly, like I have so much respect for people like you who have been to the darkness and have clawed their way back out. I mean, that's not easy.
Absolutely.
And
And you know, there's no way I could have done it on my own. You know, like I love God. I've always loved God, even in the midst of my addiction when I was the worst of the worst. Like I still love God then, you know,
I love
and
that.
I know He loves me. I know He does. Like, and there's no way I could have done that on my own. Like He's renewing my mind on a daily basis and taking those desires out of me. And, you know, the thing about God is though, like He's not a genie. He's not just going to, you know, fix your life. Like you got to put in some work too, and He'll help you the rest of the way with the stuff you can't do.
Yes, I love that. It's not a genie. It's like there's this story that I read many years ago that I think kind of relates, sum it all up. And there was this person during a flood, and you know, they were being evacuated, and they were like, no, 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 it's fine, God's got me. And they, you know, the fire department comes through him and the water's up to this guy's like door, and they're like, sir, you need to go. And he's like, no, it's fine, God's got me. Well, then, you know, the flooding gets to where it's like, you know, in his house. So he goes on to the second story, and the Coast Guard comes through and he's like, sir, you know, we got to evacuate you out of here. It's just going to get worse. He's like, no, no, it's fine. God's got me. And it finally gets so bad where he climbs up onto the roof, and the Coast Guard comes through again in a helicopter, and they're like, you know, trying to get him like, come with us, come with us. He's like, no, I have faith in God. God's got me.
Right.
Well, the water gets higher. He drowns and he gets to heaven. And he's like, God, what the heck? I had faith in you. He's like, what are you talking about? I sent the fire department and
Right.
the Coast Guard.
Sent you.
What else did you want me to do? So it's like an important reminder that, you know, wherever your faith sort of lies, or where you derive your hope, your lantern lights, whatever that is, you can't just stop. You don't just stop at a lantern light and like unpack your suitcase. You know, you don't just say like, God's got it. You know, you have to also put in that work. And that, I think, is just super important.
And there's like, I want to say one more thing to anybody listening out there. Like, there's never anything so bad that you can do that will cause God not to love you. You know what I mean? Like, you are never too far beyond his love and his reach.
I love that.
And I felt pretty bad about myself for a long time, but like, that's not the case. It's really not.
And I think that kind of harkens back to really, I think what this particular episode's theme really is that everyone is worthy of second chances.
Absolutely. Everybody, no matter what you did.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for talking with me and taking this chance. Heck yeah. Well, I guess that's it for today. I will do a wrap up now. I don't know how to do this, you guys. Like, it's so much easier on Addiction Help Podcast. So this is the end of the podcast. Follow us on, I guess I say us, but honestly, it's me, man. This is my show. So follow me on Instagram, I guess, if you like pictures of animals, and you know, it's non-filtered. I have opinions. I'm a human. I'm not going to try to polish myself to fit everyone's cup of tea. That's not a saying. So I don't know, follow me on Instagram if you really want to, but yeah, it's whatever. And then check us out at addictionhelp.com. I get to write for them and edit for them, and I'm just honestly honored to be doing this. So sick.